Hello, and welcome to my Cat Vibes series. This is me, CatCorelli, and this is episode 249. Today we are painting, well, not exactly a miniature, but it is definitely a smaller painting. I believe it's something like 10 by 12 or something. 10 by 12 inches, most likely. Or 11 by 13, maybe. This is a little scene in Mount Vernon. I've been there in December last year, just a month ago, and it was a gorgeous sunny day. It was warm, and there was that scene. I've been at my friend's place. He has a shop there in Mount Vernon, and this is the view from his back door. The view from the front door is gorgeous too, but I just found it to be particularly intriguing, the view from the back door. I like it. And this is the little bit that I'm painting this time. There is that light blue trailer in the back that is sketched out right now, and that odd-shaped building, and the road to the left, and a driveway that goes in here off of the road, and the blue sky, but it's December sky, so there's a lot of elements that kind of captivated me in that scene. I just felt that I wanted to go into it. In the previous episode, I was painting an old barn somewhere in Kentucky, someone's backyard. And I really loved the contrast between the rusted old roof and the dark, cooler shade on the barn door, and the blue sky and the faded, dusty, browny greenery in the distance. So this time it's a little bit more complex. There's a little bit more going on here in this painting, and I want to keep it loose. I want to still keep it loose, but it will have to have a little bit more detail. And because of the size of the painting, I have to be careful. On one hand, I don't want to go too nitty-gritty with all the detailed brush strokes and all that kind of stuff, because I want to keep it loose. On the other hand, I know that I will have to accentuate certain elements to bring focus, to bring them to attention. So, but that's an interesting exercise in balancing these things out, these aspects out. So that's why I'm actually using these format. It's not a miniature, actually. What I call miniature, in my painting, in my little art world, right? Something around the size of like 6 by 7 inches, or 7 by 8 inches, or 8 by 8 inches. That's a miniature. That's a little small, tiny bit. This one is not a miniature already. It's larger, but it's still not even a medium-sized painting. It's just a small painting, let's say. But I deliberately went for this smaller format. I know I theoretically could have picked up a larger canvas or a wood panel and painted it in far more detail. But I wanted to force myself to be confined by the small size of the canvas, so that I would still be forced to kind of encounter this juxtaposition, smaller size, and you're tempted to go for small, tiny, little detail, and on the other hand, I'm trying to keep it loose. I want to keep it loose because I want to keep it lively, and that's the point of it. Amazingly, this painting took a little longer than I expected. Granted, these past 2 months have been really difficult for me, and there's a lot of things that changed as compared to like half a year ago. So generally speaking, my routine is all weird right now. So that's a challenge. So sometimes I'm painting just in shorter sessions, like, maybe 20 minutes, and then I'm off. And I go and do something else, and then I return for another hour later at night, paint and go to bed, this kind of thing. And sometimes I paint at daytime, but it's just, there's just a lot of things that I have to take care of. And quite often, I end up having these smaller, shorter sessions, like 15, 20, 30 minutes. And then I'm off again. And then next time I come back, the paint is dried up a little bit. So now it's not exactly wet into wet, but it's kind of wet into dry, rather. And I am getting into it again. And let's say, generally speaking, I prefer to paint things in shorter sessions. Well, I mean, in a shorter span of time. Excuse me. I've misspoken. In a shorter period of time and in fewer sessions. Ideally, I would like to paint in 2 sessions, 2-3 sessions. That would be great. But in practice, it quite often doesn't happen because because of the time restrictions. So I end up having to split things a little bit. This painting took longer than I expected, and I've done a few mistakes here. But which is okay because I was experimenting a lot here, and all of this is widely experimental. I am deliberately allowing myself the pleasure of screwing things up, and just allowing myself room for screwing up this part or that part or this thing. And I don't expect each of my paintings to turn out great, because that's an unrealistic expectation. While I'm trying my best on every painting, just like I'm trying to do my best on every song that I produce and release, I do know that they don't end up the same. Even the quality is not going to be the same. They're all going to be different. And sometimes, things turn out better, and sometimes they're not as good. So I was I don't know. I screwed up a few things with the trees, and then I wasn't quite sure how much detail did I want to put in that left section on the left with the road, and a car. There was a vehicle there on the road, and the porch of that house, and the trees and all that. I wasn't quite sure how much did I want to put in that. Initially, I thought that I would just land like maybe a dozen brush strokes there and leave it at that. But then as I started to work my way a little further into this little blue trailer, I realized that I will have to put a little bit more detail. Ultimately, I found it to be a pleasant challenge because I think I got it to that point where I wanted it to be, this painting. I didn't make it overly detailed, but I put enough of interest into it, into the painting, for the eye to travel and to wander and to contemplate. Enough elements without making it too much for such a small painting. Most of all, first and foremost, I think, and that's something that goes for any painting that I'm starting, I'm trying to capture the vibe. That's the most important thing. Detail will come later. The thing that concerns me in the first place is the vibe of the scene. The feeling. Like, do you feel that moment? That sun, the lighting, the temperature, almost the temperature of the air. Do you feel it or you don't feel it? If I have accomplished that, now from there, with that objective being met. Now, from there, I can tighten it up a little bit. I can put more detail and more brushwork in, or I can loosen it up. But the primary objective is to capture the essence of what I see. If I can't capture that, no amount of detail or no amount of experimental, palette knife work or anything like that, or color will change it. The vibe has to be there. The essence has to be captured. That's how I see it. Same in music. Formally speaking, there can be a riff and there can be a drum beat and there can be a bass line and whatever, and even a melody. But if it doesn't really hit you, then, or if I don't feel that this song really has a lot to it, then I just won't work on that song. It doesn't make any sense. Just because all the elements seem to be there doesn't mean that the essence is captured. It should be captured. So, but there's a lot of things that go into it, like a little bit of shading here, a little color shift over there, a warmer patch over there, and a cooler one over there. That's the thing. That's how it works. And that's what I'm working on in this painting. One of the more important things, I think, is I thoroughly enjoyed it while I was painting it. And that's something that I notice over and over again, time and time again, is that, the more I enjoy the process itself, the better the painting turns out. That's an important indicator of how well it will turn out, I think. There's a series of paintings that I want to make, and they're gonna be winter themed, and I'm not entirely sure if I'll be able to land them all during this winter season. Most likely not, because that would be a ton of work, and I just have other ideas and canvases ready for those ideas already. But a friend of mine who lives in Finland, she allowed me to use plenty of her photos for reference, and there are some really gorgeous landscapes. There's the kind of snow that I miss so much. Snowy trees and plains and valleys and that kind of thing. And she traveled to Sweden, so there were some Swedish landscapes and some Finnish landscapes, and I missed that part from Russia. Because this time of year in Russia we have plenty of snow, and around here where I live nowadays, there's no snow. That is not to say that I'm a huge fan of cold or anything like that, but if I was completely honest, I would have to say that I really do miss that feeling that winter brings with it. I'm not a huge fan of fall back in Russia, because it's usually kind of gray and dark and rainy and cold, but winter is a whole different thing. No, winter is very beautiful in Russia. Even though it's cold, and I'm frostbitten several times, my feet are frostbitten at least 3 times, my fingers are frostbitten, my face is frostbitten, and I had a long-standing problem with these things, with cold and frost. But it's beautiful, and I appreciate winter, these snowy winters, a lot. I miss it. And so I'm gonna go for that series of paintings. I don't know when exactly will you start seeing those paintings. When am I exactly gonna get to that series? I think I want to make it into its own little series, just like I have this ongoing series with Les Merveilles Méditerranées, Mediterranean Wonders, where I paint things that have to do with the Mediterranean area, with Italy or southern France, Nice, coastal Spain, a Mediterranean coast, something like that. I want to make a similar series and dedicated to Russia, Finland, Sweden. It doesn't have to necessarily be about winter all the time, but something that is themed, centered around kind of my historic homeland and the surrounding regions, let's say. I'll be definitely getting into this. Right now I'm still working on that portrait of Tim Pool. I plan to finish it sometime soon after this episode. Episode 250 is gonna be yet another guitar playthrough / lyric video. This time it's gonna be for the song You Won't Ask, which is the third single from the coming album. Episode 250 is gonna be about that. So I think episode 251 most likely is gonna be the paint through of the portrait of Tim Pool. So far it's been tedious, but we will get to there, I guess, when we get there. And I have no idea what is episode 252 going to be about, but it's certainly going to be about something. And then episode 253 is going to be the guitar playthrough and the lyric video for Gala Dark Singer. So I think for now, I'm gonna commit to this kind of schedule. So 2 Cat 5 episodes are gonna be about painting, like this episode, and then after 2 paint through episodes, there's gonna be 1 episode which is gonna be a guitar playthrough and a lyric video for yet another single. I think that's how it's gonna work for now. Then I'll probably have to change it up a little bit because after episode 253, it's gonna be just almost 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks later I'll be supposed to drop another video, another lyric video and whatever, and I just doubted that the next single will be out already. We'll see. But tell me, how do you like this kind of combo? 2 paint through episodes and then a lyric video episode or something like this, or 3 painting videos and then a lyric video episode, guitar playthrough. Tell me, how do you like it? I'd like to know your opinion. Once again, I want to remind you that all the paintings that I'm painting here on YouTube, all of these paint-throughs, all of these paintings are available for sale. You can actually buy them. Some of them are framed, some of them are not framed and will not be framed. I mean, if you buy them, you can frame them to your own taste. I don't varnish my paintings. Again, I leave that to the buyer. If you feel like you want them varnished, you can do it. If you don't want to varnish them, you don't do that. Just giving you more options. All of these paintings are available for sale, so if you want to buy some of them, reach out to me, leave me a comment, let's talk about this. I have all the pricing for it, and I'll tell you how much is it. With that being said, thank you very much for being with me on this episode. I love you very much, and you will hear me on the next episode. Oh, you will actually see me and hear me with a song on the next episode. Meow!